Hello guys, welcome back to Chris Baraka and family. So yesterday we had quite an amazing live video. The live broadcast was just amazing. In case you missed that, just check on, it's actually the recent live upload. And if you want to be part of the live episodes, because I've been having quite a frequent and actually will be having quite a number, just make sure you're subscribed and also you have turned on the notification bell so you can join on the live and just be participating, because there's so much that happens on live broadcast. And not forgetting, just before we get into today's episode, is that we actually have a new show. The new show is known as Testify Live. Let me just get this. So it's known as Testify Live. And I've also shared, you can see right there on the screen, the email address. So let me just read for you what I've shared on the post. Is that want to share your testimony on Testify Live? We are looking for inspiring stories to feature on our show. If you have a testimony that can uplift and encourage others, we love to hear from you. So you email your story to Testify Live on chrisbaraka@gmail.com. Just a short or a brief about it, and then we'll get in touch to schedule your live appearance. Don't forget, the Bible says in Revelation 12:1 that they triumphed over by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. So it's very important as a child of God to share your testimony. So this platform, I thank God for this opportunity, because he has given us a chance actually to broadcast our stories around the world. I'll also share my testimony on Testify Live. It's going to be quite an amazing time, and we are going to let the world know that Jesus is not dead, because there is so much that he's actually happening. So make sure you are part of it. The email is right there. You can check for more details on the description of this video, or even on the community post. You'll find this post there, and you can just go through it. So see you on that as well. So welcome to today's episode. So today's episode, we'll just be doing an update of Jonathan and Suzy Lamb story. You know, they've gone ahead with an all allegation against Daystar TV. When I'm talking about Daystar TV, is not just the broadcast itself, but the people behind it, because it's quite this. According to them, it has been there for a while, even when the former founder or the owner of Daystar TV, that is Marcus Lamb, was still alive, because he passed on, I assume around 2 years ago. But now this story was since then, but it was just been that one of those stories that they didn't want to let it out to the public. They have tried their best. That is now Daystar TV, or the family, because Daystar TV is actually a family organization. So the family have been trying their best. That is Marcus Lamb, the wife, and also the relatives, just to bring this story to make it undercover as possible. So, but now Jonathan and Suzy decided to go ahead and bring it up now to the public attention. It has brought quite an uproar. So I have a very shocking revelation from Jonathan, where they're saying that Jonathan and Suzy saying that the wife of Marcus Lamb, that is actually, she came and said that God spoke to her, and God told her that the person you see that actually the relative who had molested their 5-year-old child. So that person, God spoke to her and told her that that person is innocent. So we're going to see that. And also some very crazy, shocking things about the freak off party. So also we're going to be having a look at that, and just a recent update of where P.Diddy is standing with the whole accusation and all allegation against him. So we are going to having a look at that, because, you know, he has been trying. This is the third time that actually he's trying to get out on bail, but we are going just to have a look at that as well, and also some very surprising words from Celestial. So let's get in the video. Let's get in the video. So this here is that story from Jonathan and Suzy. It was they released this story just the other day. Let me just bring this here so that we can be able to have a look at it right away. So Jonathan and Suzy, this is from Julie Roy's. This is where they did this expose. So Jonathan and Suzy accused Marcus and Johnny of cover-up. So this basically is I assume this should be like probably around 2021 right there. Yes, so this has been a story that has been there for a while. So the day their daughter disclosed the alleged abuse, Suzy said she immediately called Johnny, who urged Suzy not to go to police but instead to bring the girl to her. After meeting one-on-one with Johnny, the girl stopped talking about what had happened, Suzy and Jonathan said. So this is usual, especially for victims who have actually been molested. They end up not really talking, you know, they're always frightened and scared. And then you never know their relationship between the daughter and now Jonathan's mother, that is Johnny. So I don't know what happened there, Suzy said, but she was like a lock box. She doesn't remember one thing. Jonathan said she doesn't even remember having the conversation. It's like it never happened. Anyone suspecting a child has been abused to report it to the authorities. So that is what the law is suggesting there. So Jonathan and Suzy reported their suspicions to police, but said they kept it secret from their family because their daughter wouldn't talk about it. Police closed the case, and then later it was reopened. So a lot of families have lots of secrets, especially these wealthy families. I'm telling you, they have some very crazy and weird secrets. So then on August 3rd, 2021, when Jonathan caught Pete alone in a room with his naked daughter, the couple went to Marcus and Johnny, hoping they'd do something, but almost immediately the elder lambs declared Pete innocent, Jonathan and Suzy said. So the predator here that they're calling Pete, so Pete is not his real name. It's just a name. It's a pseudonym they're using just to hide his identity because, you know, the matter is still up on a court until he's proven guilty. That's when now they can announce all this. So, right, the person you can see there, that's Marcus Lamb and the wife Johnny, and also Jonathan Lamb and the wife Suzy right there. Yes, so that's the family right there. Marcus was actually the founder, but now he passed on, and then so Jonathan had inherited that briefly until he declined to sign an NDA. An NDA just to make sure that he's not going to expose this matter. So he declined signing it, and then he left. He was actually fired just the other day because he was offered an NDA that was last year in November, but he refused to sign it. So just recently he got removed from Daystar TV, and then now he decided to come up with now this expose. So that's why it's all coming up right now. So they have been trying to cover this for quite a while, but I think enough is enough. So Marcus and Johnny justified Pete's presence in the girl's room by saying Pete loved her and simply wanted to hang out with her, Suzy said. Suzy added that when she strongly objected, saying that didn't explain why Pete was in the room with her naked daughter. Just imagine you get your daughter is naked, a 5-year-old, and then there's this relative standing there. And then the relative freaked out. It's like he was doing something, you know. So Johnny blamed the couple's daughter, saying she was the one who took her clothes off. At this, Suzy said she began screaming at her mother-in-law, but Johnny was adamant and claimed several times over the next 24 hours. At one point, Marcus and Johnny gathered Jonathan and Suzy with Pete and his wife in Marcus and Johnny's bathroom and insisted that they repent to each other and pray, Suzy said. So you see, the family, that is Marcus and Johnny, really tried so much to cover this matter up, to try to bring union, to try and erase this information. So then Rebecca and JW, who had been barred from the room, barged in, insisting that they be included. So Suzy added. Rebecca was angry, Suzy said, and began praying in tongues, like in a war mode. Suzy said she was in shock by what was happening. So that is Suzy right there, and that is Rebecca Lamb, or as they're calling her, RW. So later in the day, Suzy said Rebecca confronted her dad, saying, "Why are you doing this to us? Why aren't you doing the right thing?" So you see, this was a matter that was known in the family, but they decided to keep it a secret because of the parents. You know, the parents were actually the ones who are the leaders, so they were controlling the whole thing. And then now, Suzy said Marcus responded because of Pete's wife and her child. So Marcus, that is now Jonathan's father, was more empathetic on Pete, that the predator, because the predator had a wife and had a child. But now what about Suzy and what about Jonathan? Because this is their child that has been molested. I don't know. So that night, when Suzy insisted their kids sleep in the room next to them instead of upstairs, Johnny confronted her, saying, "Look at what you're doing to this family. What about Pete's wife, Pete? What about their feelings?" Suzy said. So the next day, while Jonathan, Suzy, Rebecca, JW, Marcus, and Johnny were gathered in the kitchen, Johnny, who's now the wife of Marcus, claimed that God had told her while she was praying that Pete was innocent. Jonathan and Suzy said at this, Marcus reportedly clapped his hands. So you see that. You see now Marcus was happy and excited to hear such kind of news, because he thought that now finally they had already covered that matter. But it's still a developing story. Let's see how it unfolds, because it's still a developing story, but it's quite crazy, the things that are happening behind the scenes in our so-called Christian organization. Now, if you want more details on that, just check the live. There's a live I did. It's the recent live. I've actually gone in depth, even showing what happened after the death of Marcus Lamb, because Johnny remarried, why she remarried, who did she remarry, you know. So I've went in more detail on that. So make sure you check out that live. But now we switch the story and head to Diddy. What happened in those freak offs party and parties, because there's just another expose, is that before actually the freak offs, there was a grooming party, a party that now that is where people are groomed, and they were selected now for the freak offs. So it means if you made it to the freak off, then you were something. Do we know that there are ministers, there are pastors that made to that actually to those freak offs? Lecrae himself admitted that he was in the freak off. He said that there were other people there. He didn't mention their names, but there were other people there that we can be shocked if we knew they were in the freak off. So
I was at this party. There's an upstairs and there's a downstairs separating the two, and then there was a bottom like area, kind of like a basement, but it was an outdoor basement. I don't know how to describe that. It was 3 stories.
Yeah, so here he's describing that grooming party that he was actually invited, or he went to. So this is
but the main story was actually looked like the main story until he went down. So I'm at a party. It's Diddy's party, but it's not a freak off party. It's just a regular Hollywood party. So these Hollywood parties are done to transition you to the freak off parties. Okay, so it's kind of like a grooming process. Because I'm not going to lie, the party where they select people to get groomed to the freak off parties were a lot of fun. Like, they were fun. That's why people go to them, right? And so...
yeah, so the freak off party were now the thing. Like, I can assume that maybe people were looking forward just to get that opportunity to attend the free cops party. So,
anyways, I was there. I saw a lot of like Snoop Dogg, for example, who's a close friend of Diddy's, who, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but is definitely someone to look into from personal experience. And what I heard, okay, this is what I heard, all right, that occurred at his parties before anyone knew that he was sus, anyone knew that he was homosexual. I heard that when someone walked into the door, okay, this is the exact words that I heard. Someone walked into the door and they saw Diddy naked in bed with 3 other men. I heard this.
uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sometimes you wonder, there's an episode, I think should be on the live as well, that I spoke about why great men fall. You wonder, like, sometimes people work so hard, make something out of their lives, and then all of a sudden they just mess it up. So you wonder, why do such men fall?
Diddy in bed naked with 3 other men. Okay, so he's been doing this. I mean, obviously he's been doing this. He just got caught now. But I heard about this stuff a long time ago. When I lived in Los Angeles, homosexuality was like, it was so normal. Okay? I'm talking about, because you have these, all right, I'm going to explain to you why the spirit of homosexuality enters these people. Okay?
Yeah, so this is going to be quite a revelation here, because you wonder, someone probably is married, looks like everything is okay, then all of a sudden you hear that they are homosexual, all of a sudden you hear that they're molesting children, and then you wonder why, like, you just wonder.
So you're so desensitized to being able to sleep with as many women as you want, right? For example, okay, I also heard, okay, let me get into this first, because I'm not going to, all right, amen, all right, Lord, reorganize me. So basically, what happens is these rappers, they're I'm just going to be real, they're smashing a lot of girls, right? And so that perverted spirit of lust, and this is also why they end up going to children, the perverted spirit of lust is like seeking for new excitement.
Right there. So it's a spirit thing. It's a spirit thing that corrupts them. Life is very, very spiritual.
Because when you're living in the flesh and you're living in sin, you feel that, like, that high, that euphoria, but only for a temporary bit. You're constantly chasing a new euphoric feeling. So these men, they can get any girl they want. They've got tons of girls in their DMs. I know what the lifestyle is like. I was in Hollywood, it feeds into the spirit of rejection, because back then maybe you couldn't get many girls in like high school or something. Now you're popular and everyone wants to, do stuff. But it's like they're constantly getting play, they're constantly getting women, to the point where they get tired of it, straight up. That's why a lot of NBA players too, got caught for like sleeping with men versus women, because these men are in the top 1% of what women desire, right? They're successful, they're famous, a lot of them are like tall, right? So they're used to it. So it gets to the point where the sex is not enough anymore with women, and now that spirit starts ministering to them.
Spiritual. You see, it goes back to the spirit, because life is spirit. Life is very spiritual. People just don't do things. Sometimes we just see things happening and then we assume that they just happen. Things don't just happen. There's always an influence of a spirit behind it. Is it the influence of God? Or what? Or is it the influence of the devil? What is the influence? People just don't do things. You should never assume that life just happens. No.
Hey, have you ever tried things with a guy? Hey, you just need some excitement in your life. And so what happens is drugs play a big part in this. That's why drugs were so prevalent at the Diddy parties.
It's going to be the reality.
Yeah, so Yeah, that is quite an expose right there, because I've been asking that question, that what pleasure is there actually with these people that go after even kids? But that is quite an expose, that there's always an influence. They have corrupted their own spirit, they have corrupted themselves. So there is that devilish influence for them. They just want to do these crazy things, this fetish. You know, sometimes we hear very evil fetish that people have, and you just wonder, how are these people thinking? What is going through their minds?
Reality of a lot of people. In the old prophecies that I have from 2020, the Lord said even Christians will suffer the kind of thing that I'm speaking about. And why it isn't novel, while it isn't novel, for Christians have been sexually molested before, he's saying that it's going to reach an apex point. It's going to reach a point where this is now commonplace predatory behavior. Are you prepared for a world where it is commonplace to set traps for women, to hunt women in packs, to encircle them, to entrap them, to lie to them?
Thanks for.
Yeah, so that prophecy has just always been in motion, because it was already, she already prophesied about it in 2020. And we have been seeing a lot of these cases coming up, even in the church. This child molestation, we've been seeing a lot of this one, even for Jonathan Lamb and Suzy, is not the first one, probably will not be the last one. The other day we even saw Robert Morris of such a case, such an allegation, that he had to go ahead and step down. P.Diddy almost facing just the same thing. So there is a spirit that is influencing this. There is a spirit behind this. And as Christians, we need to pray. We need to pray as much as we are taking care of our children, but also we need to pray for our children. We need to pray for them. We need to pray for our nieces. We need to pray for our nephews. We need to pray. Because now you wonder, where is the safe space? If, for example, Jonathan and Suzy Lamb story, that one is actually the child got molested by a family, a relative, a close family member who is very well known. Probably, I don't know who the person is. We don't know the connection to the family. Maybe it's even their uncle. You never know. And these are people that you cannot look at them like strangers. These are people, these are your own family members, people that you're supposed to be trusting. And they go this wild. They go to such an extent. So if such a person can do that, what about a person that you don't know? A person that is not, a person that you're not even related to. If a person you're related to can do harm like that to your child, what about a person even you don't know? The Bible says that men's heart will turn very cold.
Streaming with us, the judge presiding over the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking case says he will make a decision on Diddy's bail request by next week. The music mogul was back in court for a pre-trial bail hearing today. His attorney is asking he be released from jail on $50 million bond and placed on house arrest. ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Kaczorski has been following this story. Aaron, Combs has already been denied bail twice. You were at court today. What happened there?
Well, first of all, he looks a lot better than he has. There's a much trimmer look to him. He appeared in a khaki jail smock, a long-sleeve white T-shirt. And as he walked in, Elizabeth, he ended up turning toward his family, blowing kisses, placing his hand over his heart. He was clearly glad to see his family. His attorney said he could be released and see his family a lot more, go on house arrest effectively, home detention, in an Upper East Side apartment here in Manhattan with restrictions, 24-hour private security, a restriction on who can visit, just lawyers and select family members, no phone calls, and no contact with witnesses or potential witnesses. The defense arguing today that's more restrictive than what he undergoes in jail now, but prosecutors said Diddy cannot be trusted to follow any rules.
Yeah, so that hearing is going to be next week. Definitely, we'll just follow up and see how it turns up. But he has been denied bail twice, so this is actually their third request. So let's see how that turns up. But there is no joking on this one, you know. So very, very crazy times that we are living right now. We just have to admit it. If you just look at things that are happening right now, I'm telling you, it's very crazy. But God has, Bible says that he has supplied us abundance of grace. So the grace is sufficient. And I thank God that he is always looking out for our good. So we have a new show. Let me just remind you on that. It's known as Testify Live, where now you'll be sharing your testimony live and we'll broadcast right here at Chris Baraka and family, and the whole world can be part of your testimony. So we want to use testimonies from around the world, from anyone, just to inspire as many as we can. It's time that we flood this digital world with stories of Jesus, stories of what Jesus is doing, and let us not get tired of sharing our testimonies. The Bible says in Revelation 12:11, there's so many scriptures that speak about testimonies, by the way. But 12:11 says they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimonies. Make sure send a brief story about your testimony right there at Testify Live on chrisbaraka@gmail.com. More details are right here in the description of this video and also on the community posts. Be following the community post because I also post some very critical and needful information as well. So let me know what you think about this video right there in the comment section. Stay blessed and see you on the next episode.